In American history, some names just scream hero, and others, well, others scream traitor. But what do you do with a man who was, without a doubt, both? Today, we're diving into the tangled story of Benedict Arnold.
I mean, let's be real. His name is basically a curse word. Calling someone a Benedict Arnold is the ultimate insult. It means you're a turncoat, a backstabber of the highest order. And for more than 2 centuries, that's pretty much all he's been known for.
And this wasn't some slow burn, His reputation as a villain was instant and it was global. When he died, that's how the papers announced it. Notorious throughout the world. Think about that. Even the British, the side he defected to, never really trusted him.
Okay, but here's the twist in the story. Before all the treason, there was unbelievable heroism. What if I told you that before Benedict Arnold became a traitor, he was one of the most brilliant, most essential generals fighting for the American Revolution?
So, let's do that. Let's peel back those layers of infamy for a minute and look at the man who was, for a while, one of the Revolution's absolute brightest stars.
I mean, just look at this resume from the early years of the war. It is staggering. The guy was everywhere, doing the impossible. He captures the crucial Fort Ticonderoga, leads this insane, brutal winter march on Quebec. He even built an entire navy out of nothing on Lake Champlain to face down the British. Just incredibly bold stuff.
And to really get his impact, you have to look at that naval battle, Valcour Island. As this famous naval historian later pointed out, Arnold technically lost that fight. But strategically, it was a massive win. By delaying a huge British invasion for a whole year, he basically set the stage for America's single most important victory of the entire war, Saratoga.
And speaking of Saratoga, oh man, Arnold was the hero of the day. He actually defied his commanding officer's orders, rode straight into the chaos, and personally led the charge that shattered the British lines. This victory was the game changer. It was so huge it convinced France to join the war on America's side.
So, here it is, the billion-dollar question. How does this guy, this incredible, undeniable hero, end up becoming the most infamous traitor in American history? What on earth happened?
Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was more like a death by 1,000 cuts. While he was winning these huge victories, he felt like he was losing a war against his own side. He was drowning in personal debt. He was furious that the Continental Congress kept promoting other, less talented generals over him. And he was constantly watching other men take credit for his battlefield genius. All those slights just festered and curdled into this deep, bitter resentment.
But some modern historians have started to wonder, could there have been something else going on? Something physical that might have actually changed his personality?
Remember that heroic charge at Saratoga? Well, during that charge, he got shot in the leg, shattering the bone. Then, his horse got shot and fell, crushing that same leg. Some analysis today suggests that in that violent fall, he could have suffered a traumatic brain injury. Now look, this is just a theory and it is absolutely not an excuse for treason, but it's a pretty fascinating lens to look through when you consider his wild behavior and terrible judgment that followed.
So, whatever the reasons, pride, money, maybe even a brain injury, by 1780, Arnold's resentment was about to boil over into one of the most shocking plots in military history.
He used his hero status to get command of West Point, the single most important fortress in America, the key to the entire Hudson River. And then he sent this coded letter to the head of British intelligence, a Major John Andre. The offer? He would hand over the fort.
And the price for this betrayal? 20,000 pounds. To put that in perspective, that's worth over £3.5 million today, or about $4.5 million US. For that, he was willing to sell out the very country he had fought so brilliantly to create. But the whole thing was a complete disaster. Andre's escape ship had to flee after taking American fire, leaving him stranded. So he tries to get back to British lines overland, in disguise, but gets stopped by 3 local militiamen who find the plans to West Point stuffed in his boot. Just as the walls were closing in, Arnold gets a tip-off and makes this frantic escape, literally hours before George Washington showed up for a planned meeting.
So, while Arnold got away, his co-conspirator, the well-liked and charming Major Andre, well, his luck had just run out. He was captured and quickly put on trial.
And you can feel how torn the American officers were about it. Alexander Hamilton wrote this famous line, saying that while the execution was totally justified by the laws of war, they all felt that Andre, as a person, didn't deserve it. You can tell they respected him way more than the man who had betrayed both of them.
And so, Andre was hanged as a spy. Meanwhile, Arnold, the guy who orchestrated the whole thing, was safe behind British lines with a new commission as a British general. The sheer injustice of it all just fueled this white-hot rage across America.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most complicated part of this whole story. How do you even begin to remember a man who was both a savior and a saboteur?
The judgment from his contemporaries was swift and it was brutal. Benjamin Franklin summed it up perfectly. He said Arnold made a miserable bargain, trading his honor for money and bringing eternal shame on himself and his family.
And you can literally see this conflict carved in stone at the Saratoga battlefield today. The main monument there has 4 alcoves for statues of the 4 American generals who won the battle. 3 of them are filled. The 4th, where Arnold's statue should be, is just empty. And nearby, there's this other strange memorial called the Boot Monument. It honors the heroic leg wound he suffered there, but it pointedly, deliberately refuses to name the soldier it belongs to. It's like they built a monument to his heroism while simultaneously trying to erase him from the story.
And that really is the question we're left with, isn't it? It's easy to condemn the traitor. But what do we do with the hero? How do you tell the story of a man whose courage might have saved the American Revolution right before his ego tried to burn it all down? It's a puzzle America is still trying to figure out.